Welcome back, Irish fans, to Breaking Down Braves Boys podcast. Notre Dame plays Duke on Wednesday, which is probably tomorrow when you're seeing this. With Jake, we're going to preview that game. But first, we're going to talk about Notre Dame a lot. It's been a big week for Notre Dame basketball, a big weekend in particular. First, win over Kentucky. Talk about that in a second. But the big storyline, Trey Wirtz finally becoming eligible. We've been hearing rumors, rumblings for months about this. There were like 3 separate dates when we thought he was cleared, but this hopefully is the one. Bray never really confirmed it. At least I've never seen the video. Maybe he has said something, but I've looked for the video and haven't seen it. But Jake, I guess we'll go to you first. What are your thoughts on Trey Wirtz finally becoming eligible?
I'm very excited. It's huge news. I think first and foremost, it kills 2 to 3 birds with one stone. I think, that's obviously it's well documented what problems the bench has caused us this season, and really going back to the last season even more. We got tired late in games and kind of slowed down. It's become worse this season because I think Bray trusts Zona and Sanders, and to a smaller extent, but still Jogo less than he trusted Dane and Nate last year. I mean, Goodwin and Leshevsky gave him production, so I don't blame him. But now we can get to the point where, most importantly, Cormac Ryan can condition better because, it's a big jump to go from sitting out here to playing 38 minutes a game. And then give Hub some rest because, he can turn the ball over and, give him some rest so he doesn't turn it over as much. And, and I think on the court, he adds a lot in terms of shot creation and ball handling that we can always use, especially the former. So, I'm pumped. I now think we're a tournament team with this addition.
Yeah, agreed. I think it's huge for Wirtz, not even just on the court, but he provides such a huge spark for them. I wrote this in an article earlier, but he's just such a huge spark. I mean, they didn't really need it after Kentucky with all the energy going around, but this is such a big injection into the program and the team. I would probably say, I told you back a long time ago that I thought he was better than Cormac, and I think I still sort of stand by that.
Yeah, I would too.
But he's a quiet kind of guy, so you wouldn't expect him to bring a whole bunch of buzz. He definitely has, especially with all the circumstances and stuff. So really excited for that. The thing I was really looking forward to is the shot creating aspect. I think that's really going to limit those huge runs we saw MSU and Kentucky have. 26-0 run and 14-0 run. So I think that's really going to help. And maybe you could even have 3 shot creators.
I think Kentucky went for 17 at one point, didn't they?
Yes.
It was something crazy. Like, we didn't realize it, but it was crazy.
Yeah.
Because we were up.
We would have noticed if we weren't up by that much for sure. But I agreed about Hub and Ryan resting too. Hub seems to get erratic sometimes, so it's really helpful that you can still have 2 ball handlers on the court and sit him. I looked it up earlier, and combined through the first 4 games, Cormac Ryan and Prentice Hub have sat 20 minutes combined, 10 each through 4 games. Not exactly what you'd hope for in your guard depth.
That's just insane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And also, I really like I know Wirtz maybe wasn't a primary ball handler at Santa Clara, but he only averaged 2.5 turnovers there. So he's really going to be steady. He's way calmer than Hub with the ball in his hand. So I think that's huge. Any other thoughts on Wirtz?
Yeah, so you mentioned that they each have sat at 10 minutes a season and 20 in total. I think that's how much they could sit in a game now with Trey Wirtz. I think we could see some of Wirtz or Ryan at the 3 now too as well. So maybe that's not exactly true, but just he can help him rest a lot. I would like to see Ryan go down his minutes, dip into the 20s even. I think Hub can handle it more than him, but it's still not ideal to play that many minutes.
Yeah, definitely. We were talking about this in a group chat, I think, with I forget who, but the idea was thrown out there that Ryan just plays the first half and Wirtz plays the second, which actually
Nathan said that.
Yeah, it doesn't seem that far-fetched actually, because Ryan has I don't know what's going on with him and Leshevsky in the second half, but Ryan and Leshevsky just take a massive drop-off in the second half for some reason. I think they're kind of scheming against Leshevsky, and Ryan maybe you could attribute that to the conditioning, but I don't know. I also, going off what you said, I agree. I kind of like the idea of moving Cormac down to the three. I think he could really play the role Dane plays without handling the ball. He could come off screens.
Basically, yeah, I agree. I would like to see Ryan at the three. I think Wirtz could probably do it as well, but he's probably more of a two, really. Although I mean, I don't know. As you said, I don't know who's the primary ball handler. He did average the most assists for Santa Clara last year, so I mean that's pretty. I mean that's good to see, I guess. I think he could be our best player. I think we're a tournament team now with him, so I'm excited.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. I don't think I really see Wirtz moving to the three. Kind of just Ryan based on kind of the sets they've run with him, the picks and stuff. But I don't know if he's really a primary ball handler either. But just think about that flexibility. He gives you three primary ball handlers or three guys who can handle the ball, combo guards, maybe not primary ball handlers, but just gives you a lot of flexibility, get Hub off the court. And even if Wirtz isn't the best player like maybe some people think he is, that doesn't really matter. I mean, you still have four guys who are making cases for the best player, even if he doesn't run away with it or really even competes with it. You still have a ton of guys who are really talented on this roster, and he's bringing a huge spark. So, any other thoughts on him before we move on to
Yeah, can
Kentucky?
I throw out I don't know, this might be a little crazy of an idea. So I think it's been talked about a little. We have four players on the court who are a threat to shoot it from deep, who can space the floor, which is not it can be a nightmare to defend about. What if we made that five? What if we went for round one? We started, let's say, Hub, Wirtz, Ryan, Goodwin, Lashesky. I mean, what about that? Maybe.
Yeah, I would say I loved that idea like a month ago, but now that I've seen how the offense can kind of dry up without a big man like Mooney out there, I think that was a really underappreciated part about Mooney is we didn't really see a whole lot of those massive scoring droughts. I think that offense could be really hot and cold, but in March, I think that offense is a lot better suited than maybe what we had last year with Mooney. But
Yeah, I don't know because really you're taking out Durham, who doesn't really do much on offense. So I mean, I don't know. It's just I'm sure we'll see. I think we might see it like in spurts, but it's not going to be like the starting lineup, which Bray has done a lot. Like I remember in the year we last were in the tournament. I mean, he would start Gavin, but like he wouldn't play a lot. So I mean, maybe that's something we see. He would go smaller once we got into the games. I mean, we'll see what happens.
hmm yeah, we don't really have a guest this time besides you, so I wanted to touch more on Notre Dame. You brought up the 4 out, 1 in thing, and I was just thinking, can we talk about how Nate Laszewski's developed offensively this year? I mean, he's way more of a post threat than we've seen in past years. I mean, even Dane Goodwin has posted up a couple of times. I saw him post up Foster Lawyer, Askew, and then Nate. I think every game Nate has got 2 or 3 post ups for a basket. So that's really encouraging to see. And we can really, if you want to run the 4 out, 1 in, that gives you a lot of flexibility to put him down low, just pound down low. What do you think about that?
I mean, yeah, it's. I think they have benefited from times like that. Bray likes to do that a lot into the games, but he doesn't start it off with it as much. One thing I will mention with having five shooters on the floor, no matter who starts, it looks like who starts on the perimeter. Looks like next year we could have that with Zona starting. So you can have five guys who can shoot it. I mean, that's really, I'm excited to watch that. It must be hard to defend against, really.
hmm Yeah, I was really hoping to see a little bit more from Zona on the perimeter. It's kind of just been down low, but you can really see his toughness and just feel for the game and stuff down low, even though he has lost a couple times. But I really like what I've seen from him at times. And I thought it was funny. The announcers were saying on Saturday that shooting threes wasn't his game when he took a three, even though that's like literally the reason we brought him here. But I thought that was funny. I just really want to see him develop from out there. Anything else on Notre Dame players before we head into the Kentucky game
Yeah,
recap?
I mean, I like what I've seen from him. I think at this point he's our seventh man. Sanders, I don't know. It's still a project, but it really is with Zona too. Well, I guess not the seventh man anymore now that we have Wirtz. So what I want to hypothesize is, do you think there's a chance Bray sticks with a seven-man rotation and Wirtz replaces Zona?
I think it's possible. I mean, I don't know. I think if he wants to go really small, when you take Durham off the court and Leshevsky plays the five, which we saw in Michigan State a little bit, it's possible. I think he's going to go with eight, to be honest. He said he needed.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, me too. I don't know.
Well, yeah, go
I
on.
think you kind of go. I think you kind of play matchups with Zona and Sanders because neither of them have had a good game, the same game. So I think you kind of just gotta guess right with them. And I mean, Tony Sanders had a great game against what was it, Detroit Mercy. He looked really good against, and then Ohio State. He like airballed a shot and then broke down defensively. And Zona had a good game. So I guess you kind of just got to guess right with them. And if there's a team that plays big that doesn't have quick guards, you put Zona out there 10 out of 10 times. But Sanders, I don't know. I also wanted to touch on this. I watched Kentucky back because I missed a little bit of the game. And I thought it was interesting that on the last possession, when Kentucky had the ball, Calipari called a timeout, and Braden put Sanders on the court. He kept Goodwin out there to defend, which I thought was pretty interesting considering how he's criticized Dane's defense and praised Sanders on the defensive end. Any thoughts on that? I
Yeah,
don't know if you really noticed
yeah,
that.
I kind of agree, but he did say that Dane has been coming along. I would have put Sanders in, but not to say that it was changed, but no second guessing the guy when they missed a shot, really. So, whatever. Maybe in the heat of the moment you overthink it. But I really think one thing for sure with Wirtz coming in, no matter how big the rotation is, the bench players are going to play more because, I mean, he definitely is going to trust them more. So that's good to have.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know if I was necessarily saying it was specific to Kentucky that move, but I mean, I think that just shows you how much Dane's come along defensively. I think we've seen that a lot this year. Except Michigan State, he didn't look that good, but after that, he's been pretty good defensively. So really like what I'm
I
seeing
mean,
from him.
you have to remember Sanders is a freshman too. So, I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. So I guess we'll move on to the Kentucky kind of recap. We already sort of started it, but let's get your kind of initial thoughts on Kentucky and just the game.
Well, oh boy. A lot to unpack. Well, I mean, the first half, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I kind of came into a sense with, yeah, we can take this one because Kentucky looks down, and we've been battling this season. Um, you know,
Mhm.
I think we can sail this one. But holy crap, they dominated them. Biggest deficit in Kentucky history. I mean, that's not nothing to not bring up. I mean, that's big. But and second half, oh boy, they got away with it. But you can see, as we've said time and time again, when the bench isn't used, everybody gets tired, especially when the bench is pretty much only used for Durham. So it's put Jogo in. So, I mean, I hope it can really be a warning sign to Bray to use his bench. He really needs to.
Mhm. Yeah, I think he trusts it a lot more now. And I don't know if a lot of Notre Dame fans agree with this game, or even you, but I think the reason they won that game was because of Mike Bray. Just because he dropped in that 1-3-1. You saw how it pretty much shut down Kentucky early on. He was talking about how he was thinking about dropping into more zone. He said that in the pregame presser, and he actually did, and it killed Kentucky. They shot 1 for, 14 in the first half, shot 7% from three at half, and it just killed them. It's not his fault they got hot either late in the game, and he came out of it towards the end, and it worked out for him. So I think that's why they win that game. It's just because he slowed him up so much. Scored 63, 62 points. I think that's why you win the game right there, and that's why Bray is where he's at because he's able to make those adjustments. And he was talking about how Olivier Sarr, he didn't think anybody on Notre Dame could guard him one-on-one, and he didn't put him in that position to be guarded one-on-one. Always had help from the perimeter. Made it tough on him even when he was
Yeah.
hot. So
Didn't we mention that? when we're previewing this game?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, we can be guard 1-1. I think people are forgetting this Kentucky's team's talented. I mean, they took Kansas, who was number 7 in the country, down to the wire. Really, they had a down game against Georgia Tech. Kansas is now number 5. They had a down game against Georgia Tech, but I mean, you know, that shit happens. Really, I mean, and Notre Dame's not a bad team either. This was a huge win to get them back. It's a launching pad for the rest of the season. Gets them back on track. Gets us feeling good, along with the words transfer. Um, you know, I I really think it's a better win than it felt like.
Hmm.
I wasn't really happy with the win because it shouldn't have been that close, but now I'm feeling happier about it. Really, it
Hmm.
can be huge if Kentucky has a big season.
Yeah.
I think one. I
I think
think
they're definitely gonna
so.
bounce back.
So we had 3 out of conference games that were pretty tough that we scheduled. I think 1 and 2 is pretty much like the borderline where 2-1 helps us, 0-3 hurts us. 1-2 isn't bad. We get that big win. We don't suffer from scheduling bad teams. We don't gain much from it, but I think it helps.
Hmm.
So I don't regret scheduling these tough teams with this win now.
Yeah, I think the Tennessee game getting canceled helped us, to be honest. But I don't think we win that game. But I think Kentucky's going to bounce back from this. They got really hot towards the end of the game, and I think they're going to carry that over. I mean, shots just haven't been falling for him. But if you look at their roster, Brandon Boston, Devin Askew, 2 5 stars. I think Clark was a
I don't.
5 star also. Olivier Sarr was the hottest transfer in the entire portal. And Jackson was like a high 4 star, I think. So that's a really good team, even if it's all
I
freshmen.
don't know about them at point guard. I think John Rothstein said it best. Francis Hub, and you could say Cormac Ryan too, was the best point guard in the building that night.
Oh yeah, definitely. I don't think
I
Askew's.
mean, overall, like not just that game. Like of any of the guys there, he was the best point guard. Just overall, I mean, they have had point guard issues. They made a lineup change. Didn't they bench Askew?
Yeah, Mint started, but it just
Oh,
shows you how talented that team is that they can afford to
it
bench
is really.
Askew. But that's what I have for Kentucky. I think we covered pretty much every player on the team. I can't believe. Oh, big shout out to Nick Jogo also. Bray said he wasn't playing the day before the game, and then came out and played. Bray said he wasn't even near 100%. So good on
That's
Joe
what we all thought.
there. But yeah, I guess we'll go into Duke now. So now that Jake and I have discussed Notre Dame's huge win over Kentucky, and Trey Wertz finally getting eligible among a bunch of other stuff, I brought in Connor McLeod from the Chronicle, covers Duke. So thanks for coming on, Connor. And I guess we'll get to it. So to start, I guess I'll ask you about the 5 Duke starters. I know they've had 4 starting lineups to start the year. Can you maybe give us some background or insight on all of them, or maybe just kind of the impact players, and if they have any really good strengths or stuff Notre Dame can exploit?
Yeah, Coach K kind of likes to do this just in the beginning of the season to kind of fill out his team. I think especially because we're so young, it's going to take a little bit more time for Coach K to really know who's prepared to play and who's going to be better off the bench and whatnot. But essentially the guy who's been starting every game for sure is Matt Hurt, who's at this point he's our go-to scorer. He's a sophomore from Minnesota. Last year I wouldn't say he underperformed too much, but I think his expectations were a little higher than how he did perform. But this year I think he's coming to his own in terms of being able to really knock down that jump shot from outside. And he's 6'10" or 6'9" and has a really good 3-point shot. So he's really been our guy. When we need a bucket. Sometimes his shot isn't falling, which can be a problem for us, and that's kind of what happened against Illinois. He wasn't hitting his shots. I probably don't think he hit a shot until the second half from the 3-point line. But he's our go-to guy. So he's been starting for us, and then we also have Jordan Goldwire. He's our senior. He's a senior guard. He plays point guard sometimes. Really, his biggest impact is on the defensive side of the floor. He's really been a spark plug for us the last couple of years in that sense. And his offense has developed with that, but really his main strength is really locking down point guards and making life kind of hell for them. He defends the full court. And this year it's a little harder for him to do that. Last year we had Trey Jones to kind of help him out. Trey Jones was the same way, was able to guard the whole court. Hopefully somebody can help him out a little bit this year, but so far he's been doing that kind of on his own in terms of not full defense. Like our defense has been, I think, pretty good for how young they are, but in terms of being able to like really smother guards and really like make an impact, he's been doing that kind of by himself. But then we also have, this freshman, Jalen Johnson. He's probably our best freshman so far. Definitely our highest ranked recruit. He had a really good game in our opener against Coppin State. He scored 19 points and I think he had a double-double, didn't miss a shot. But since then, he's really had kind of difficulty staying on the floor. He's really inexperienced, and it kind of shows. He's got into foul trouble really early in both the Michigan State game and the Illinois game, and he wasn't really able to get into a good rhythm. And he's not the best shooter from outside, so it's kind of difficult for him to be what I kind of thought he would be, which maybe he will be eventually. And with a lot of the players on our team, they're kind of just really young and not as much experience as they should have yet. So it's really difficult to see like where they're going to end up near the end of the season. But right now, his offense is really raw, and that's not to say that he can't score. He's really athletic. He's a really good rim protector as a small forward. He's like 6'9" to 6'8". But really, he can jump really high. He's been tipping for us, even though we have 2 7-footers on a bench. But so he's been our best freshman so far, though, in terms of just being able to make an impact on both sides of the floor. He's really able to get to the rim pretty easily, and but his jump shot isn't really necessarily there yet. And then another freshman who played really well in our opener and hasn't really shown much after that is DJ Stewart, another 5-star recruit. Shooting guard from Illinois. He really played well in that Coppin State game, and he didn't start in that game, so it was really promising for us. And I'm not making any judgments yet on the freshmen just because they're so young, like I said. But so far, he's probably our best shooter, our most consistent shooter from deep, other than Matt Hurt. But it's really nice to see as a Duke basketball watcher, just to see a guard that can hit shots really consistent is a really nice thing to see. But he's probably our best guard in terms of getting his own shot. I think his biggest weakness might be that he's again inexperienced, and then also he's a little undersized, I'd say maybe. But I hope throughout the season he'll kind of find his way. And then I say our last spot. If I were making the starting lineup, I'd probably put in Jeremy Roach, another freshman. He's true point guard, but so far he hasn't really found his footing yet. He showed a lot of flashes in the last game against Illinois, what he can be, and kind of just showing what he was recruited here to do, which is kind of run our team. And I was kind of mentioning earlier, like Matt Hurt is our go-to scorer, but the way he plays and sometimes when his shot's not going down, it's really hard for Duke to score. And so this year more than ever, I think we need a true point guard to kind of settle things down, run some half-court sets. And I think Jeremy Roach should be that and can be that, and he was showing a little bit of that against Illinois. But he just needs to find his confidence. I think before Illinois, he really didn't look like he belonged out there. He's also another guard that's kind of undersized. And it did look like it got to him a little bit. A lot of jump passes, a lot of bad turnovers for really no reason before Illinois. But he's getting better, and I think with more confidence and more experience on the floor, hopefully he'll be able to be that point guard that we need.
Sure. Definitely weird to hear you talk about all those 5-star recruits coming in every year, just based on Notre Dame, who's never got a 5-star. Really interesting perspective. But you talked about how they have 2 7-footers on the bench, and it seems like they're kind of keeping them on the bench and playing a lot of small ball with Hurt at the 5. Do you have any insight on why they've done that? And do you think we could see them play a lot of small ball tomorrow?
Yeah, I think the main reason, if I had to guess why we're playing small so far, is shooting. And so our best 7-footer is Mark Williams, who's another 5-star center. Obviously he can't shoot from the outside. So, but if he's on the floor, and we also have Jalen Johnson, who can't really shoot that well on the floor, and then we have Jordan Goldwire, who you kind of have to play. His shot is not as consistent as you'd like to be from the point guard position. So that'd be 3 guys on the floor who really, you can't really rely on to make a 3-point shot. So in order to be able to play Jordan Goldwire and Jalen Johnson, I think you need to have your 5 spot be able to hit that 3 and space out the floor. So I think that's why I've been putting Matt Hurt out there. And I think that our defense is still really good. It's not as good as it needs to be yet, but I think one of the main things I've been seeing is just like the effort is definitely there, and that's not something that you can really teach easily. So it's really good to see that. So yeah, I think having Matt Hurt out there and being able to play like 2 other guards, like in my opinion, you'd want to play Jeremy Roach or Jordan or DJ Stewart to kind of space the floor is probably the main reason why we haven't had Mark Williams play as many minutes as maybe he expected to, or maybe fans expected him to.
Yeah, for sure. It's really encouraging to hear if you're a Duke fan that the intensity has kind of been there on defense, because a lot of the stuff we heard going into Kentucky is that a lot of their freshmen kind of check out on the defensive end. So it's good to hear they're playing on both ends. Maybe not good to hear for me and Notre Dame fans, but for Duke fans, I guess.
I mean, I'd say Duke fans are right now panicking a little bit. Some of them, I'm not panicking yet. Like I said, they're just freshmen, and I haven't watched enough Kentucky to know what they're doing. But our offense isn't there yet for sure. Definitely not there yet. So I think that's what we've been seeing is we're not able to score as easily as we should be. But I'd say our intensity is definitely there. So.
Gotcha. So this is intensity, something that can't really be taught, but schematically can be taught. Is there anything Duke does schematically that's kind of unique, or do they just kind of go basic man defense and a certain offense?
Yeah, I mean, I think the most unique thing we've been doing for last year is kind of something I alluded to before, which is we like to play not any like real press defense, or not any real trap press defense, I'd say. Like nothing like set, but because we have someone like Jordan Goldwire who's able to defend the point guard from the time he brings up the ball on the other side of the court, that is probably the most unique thing we're able to do really well is when we really need, stops and buckets off of turnovers. That is something that I think we have in our back pocket. The problem is I think we don't have anybody else, like I said, that's able to defend full court yet. In Jeremy Roach's interviews, he seemed to have confidence in himself that he was able to do that. So if he's able to figure that out, I think our full court defense will be really good. Because it was last year and the year before with Trey Jones. So I think that's probably the most unique thing we do. We play pretty good man-on-man defense, so I think we're going to stay in that probably and not go to a zone because I don't think we need to. Matt Hurt's probably our biggest defensive liability on the starting lineup, but even he's not necessarily that bad or anything, especially when he's going to be playing centers. And he put on a couple pounds of muscle this summer, so hopefully he won't be bullied by any big centers. But in terms of our man-to-man defense, I think we'll be all right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now that you bring up the ball pressure, I remember last year, Notre Dame Duke, Prentice Hub and TJ Gibbs kind of just threw the game away because of Trey Jones and Goldwire pressing. So hopefully that's not a reoccurring theme every time we go play Duke. But what's your biggest concern with Duke right now? Seems like there's a lot of good and bad with this team. So interested to hear what you have to say.
I mean, I think the biggest concern is, obviously it's a weird season for everybody. But and I think maybe it's the same case for Kentucky. It's just we're really young, and so it's just not a good mixture of not only not being able to play a bunch of games. So many games are being canceled. We didn't get that much practice time in the summer. These and they're just young and raw, and they're playing against these teams who they already know how to play with each other. Which is, I'm not saying I'm not trying to say that as an excuse or anything, but that's just something I'm concerned about. how quickly can Coach K develop these guys to where they need to be, be able to play at the speed they need to be at and just like be in the moment and have confidence in themselves and have confidence in their shots and just not look like they don't know what's going on. 'Cause sometimes it does. Sometimes on offense it looks like, especially with people like Jalen Johnson, DJ Stewart, and Jeremy Roach. Those are our 5 stars and freshmen. And usually, Duke likes to rely on them to kind of give us our offense pretty easily. And so far, it's not easy. Definitely, that's probably the last word I'd use to describe what they look like when they're out there with the ball. And so that's a little concerning in terms of when is that going to happen for Duke? Because we have Matt Hurt, but that's not enough. That's not enough to win games. Matt Hurt is not enough to win games. So just to see, I'm concerned about how quickly we're going to be able to do that before it can unravel. I'm not saying it will, but maybe it could unravel. If we keep losing games, the confidence, it's going to be hard to give them that confidence. So hopefully they'll be able to kind of figure it out pretty quickly.
Gotcha. Definitely on the opposite side of the spectrum is Notre Dame, and we kind of heard the same concerns about Kentucky. A lot of inexperience, just throwing the ball away, stuff like that from young teams like that. But I guess on the other side of the spectrum, what do you think their biggest bright spot's been early, even through their struggles?
Yeah, I mean, I alluded to that too, just the intensity. And maybe other Duke people will disagree with me, but when I was watching the Illinois game, we were down by a lot of points, but I was kind of encouraged because watching the first 3 games before that, I think that was the best game we played. And even though we got kind of whopped by Illinois, like I said, I didn't see us give up at all, and that was pretty encouraging to see. Behind Jordan Goldwire, who really took it upon himself to really be that spark plug and that defensive leader, everybody kind of followed suit, and that was really cool to see. So I think if anything, going forward, that's going to be something that we're going to have to rely on. And it's good that we can do that. The team, no matter what, is really athletic. So hopefully they can utilize that in the right way on defense, and that could help jumpstart their offense too.
Gotcha. Definitely a good sign, like I said earlier, that they're playing hard as freshmen, that they can develop throughout the year even. But what do you think Duke has to do to beat Notre Dame tomorrow night?
Yeah, I mean, definitely stop turning over the ball. We didn't turn over the ball too many times in Illinois. I think that wasn't the biggest problem we had, but just in general bad decisions, we can't keep taking terrible shots. Sometimes we'll just have just those lapses in judgment, I think, and that's part of experience too. But if we're able to just stay calm, not turn over the ball and continue to keep up the intensity on defense, I think we'll be fine. I mean, haven't watched enough Notre Dame to know the level of talent you guys have. I mean, you guys just beat Kentucky, and not to say that Kentucky's the best team, but they're also really athletic, even though they're inexperienced. So, I know that Notre Dame is not going to be an easy team to beat, but I think in order to be any team that's experienced like that, you gotta limit the mistakes. So that's probably the biggest thing I think Duke's got to do tomorrow.
For sure. And this one, I don't really get to ask this a whole lot because, well, I guess this year I do because Notre Dame's impossible schedule. But do you think Duke's ranking of 21st is kind of fair to look at, or do you think they're a little too high or too low based on what we've seen so far?
I mean, I think it's fair. I wouldn't put us any higher than this. I mean, we haven't beat anybody good. So I don't think any Duke fan should really be complaining about we should be higher. I think it's fair though, because I don't think we're not a terrible team to where we should be out of the top 25. And there are probably some teams that are above us right now that shouldn't be, but we just got to prove ourselves. And I think it's a good place to be for a team that needs to develop. Kind of gives them something to aim for, I think, and but without being, I guess, too discouraging, because whether you think you're better than the team above you or not, you have to go prove it on the court. So I think it's a fair ranking.
Gotcha. I think Notre Dame could be a nice starting point for them. Hopefully not, but to get back up into the teens or maybe even the top 10 eventually. But before I let you go, I know you're busy, but I want a prediction for the game, even if it's just a range.
Yeah. So I'll say Duke wins 70-60.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That's
I don't love to hear that, but I get where you're coming from, and I think a lot of people are gonna say the same thing. So if that's all you got, you don't have anything else to touch on with Duke, that we can let you go. And thank you for coming on.
yeah. Thanks for having
Now on
me.
my keys to the game. One, force Duke to shoot threes against Illinois. That's pretty much the reason they lost the game. They shot 0% from three at half, 0 for 7. Definitely not what you want to see from a young team. So I think you could see Bray kind of drop into that 1-3-1 again and keep him from going downhill, keep him from getting inside. And then my second one's going to be win the turnover battle. Same thing as Kentucky. Duke has a negative assist to turnover ratio. Mike Bray would not coach that team, a team with a negative assist to turnover. We all know this. Notre Dame struggled with turnovers late in the game, so I think they really need to limit that. Hopefully Wirtz can go out and help with that. And then my third one, it was really hard for me to pick out a third one. So I was just going to say force them to do things they're not good at, kind of like shooting. Just don't let them get downhill. They kind of run like a motion offense, so maybe run the zone to get them out of it. Just make them uncomfortable. That's how you beat freshmen in college basketball. It's kind of just how it works. But that's what I have for the keys. And then my matchup to watch, Jake, I don't know if you have one of these. I said Leschewski versus Hurt. Pretty much, I think the two best players on the court almost, you could say, going into this game. Leschewski, been Notre Dame's best player this far. Is he averaging 19 a game also? What's he average?
I think he is. Oh, I have it up
17,
right here.
17 a game. I don't know why I thought 19, but Hurts got 19. They're really similar players, stretch bigs, who can kind of get you in the post, but mostly just stretch.
Was Hurt playing center for them, or is he at the 4?
I think he's doing a little bit of both. They have
I see.
a freshman, Mark Williams, who's playing center. He's their only center on the roster, though, and he's only playing 7.5 minutes. Hurt's only 6'9", so you could really – they're playing a lot of small ball. Leschewski versus Hurt, I think, is going to maybe not determine the game because the guards are going to have a big impact too because of the turnover battle. But that's what I have for the matchup to watch. Any thoughts on that or any other matchups you're looking forward to?
Yeah, I think that's definitely what I'm looking forward to. I think besides that, I would say I'm definitely looking forward to how Hub goes against guys. I think Stewart's good, has been really good. So it should really be interesting to watch.
For sure. And then now into our predictions. I'm pretty sure you're 3-1. I know I'm 3-1 on the year. I picked a loss at Michigan State, and then my only missed one was I predicted a win against Ohio State, and I know you picked a loss versus Kentucky. So actually,
I think I got a win versus Kentucky if I recall correctly.
Oh, so then you're 4-0, right? I think. So then you're 4-0.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah, you're 4-0.
Or I might have predicted a win versus Ohio State. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But I know I thought they'd win against Kentucky.
All right. So I guess we'll go to you first since I did all that kind of stuff. What's your prediction going into this one?
Probably Duke by 5.
All right. I was thinking pretty similarly. I'm just gonna switch it up just so I don't look stupid if we win, and we don't look stupid if we both predicted a loss. We go Notre Dame by 5. Gonna be a homer here. Just I don't know. I think we can really exploit another inexperienced team, but they're definitely better than Kentucky. Hopefully Wirtz gives us some juice, but that's all I have for this one. Jake, you got anything else?
Nope. Looking forward to it, though. Go Irish.
Me too. Go Irish. We'll have a Purdue one. Not sure how many of you guys are going to watch Purdue based on the stupid scheduling, but we'll have a preview nonetheless. And thank you guys for watching. Go Irish. Peace. All right.